When you need full underbelly protection for your Jeep JL, this is Clayton Off Road solution. In front of me here is our exhaust and resonator skid plate for your Jeep JL. This skid plate is designed to be paired with our transfer case skid plate and provides optimal protection all the way back from the transfer case to right before the rear axle. This skid plate is designed to protect the OEM exhaust and resonator section under your Jeep JL. It links up seamlessly with the pre-existing Clayton Off Road skid system. We're going to go over a couple features here and then get right into the install. To start off, this skid plate features a removable section that allows you to run a regular short arm suspension setup or Clayton Off Road's long arm suspension setup. This is an identical design to our gas tank skid plate, and this removable section can be discarded if you've got our long arm setup. This skid plate is going to use 3/16 steel brackets to mount the skid plate to your Jeep's frame. At the other end of the skid, we've got a tie-in bracket that allows you to connect this skid to Clayton Off Road's transfer case skid plate. The skid plate also is going to install with 3 OEM frame bolts. These bolts are leftovers from when you remove the transfer case skid and the engine skid from the factory. So without further ado, we're going to get this skid plate installed in the Jeep. The tool list for this installation is relatively short and sweet. All we're going to need is a ratchet, a 7/32 X key, a 9/16 box wrench, a short and deep 9/16 socket, an 18mm socket, a 3/4 socket, a short and long extension, and of course, an impact. When it comes to installing this skid plate, we already have our transfer case skid installed along with the skid support member. The first step is to locate the tie-in bracket. We're going to use one of the provided 3/8 countersunk bolts, along with 2 of the 3/8 by 16 1-inch long bolts. Starting with the countersunk bolt, we're going to feed it in through this spot in the transfer case skid. This tab goes through the gap opening. You're going to want to leave this bolt relatively loose until you can install the remaining 2 3/8 bolts up here in the cross member. You can use a washer on this side. Now with those threaded through, you can feed your hand in on the back, use a lock washer and a nut. Now we're just going to hold the nut from the other side and use a 9/16 socket to tighten these 2 bolts down. Quick tip to get to the bolt under on the inside, just feed the wrench in. Now, with those guys tight, we can go up and finish the remaining countersunk bolt. And you can tighten this down now. So we're at the rear of where this skid plate's going to install, and we've got one of the rear support brackets. This bracket is going to mount up with one of the OEM frame bolts. This cross member has a threaded PEM. This bracket is just going to mount up. On this Jeep specifically, we have our emergency brake relocation bracket also installed. You may just need to pull on the e-brake cable a little bit to give yourself enough room for that bracket to mount up. Leave that loose for now. This is our middle support bracket, and again, you're going to be using the second OEM frame bolt. Just feeds through the slot. And you're going to want to leave this bracket loose. Again, we're going to hold off on this bracket for now. We'll come back to this. We got our main skid plate here, and now with these support brackets in place, we can bring this up and into position. We're going to use a adjustable jack stand, but if you have a friend, they can hold the back of the skid plate for you while you start a couple of the countersunk bolts up front. You're not going to want to tighten these down yet, just get them relatively close. Leave plenty of room for adjustments. We're going to work our way to the back of the skid to start bolting up these brackets. Just a quick note as we move back here, the middle bracket is going to mount on the inside of the skid plate, whereas the rear bracket is going to mount on the outside. So we're going to adjust the jack stand up at this rear bracket until the holes line up. That should be good. Now you can just feed through 2 of the provided 3/8 bolts. And on the back side, use a lock washer and a nut. Now we're going to make our way to the middle bracket. Same idea. Feed 2 of the 3/8 bolts through, along with lock washers on the inside and nuts. We're going to leave these loosely installed again, just like the back. We're at the frame rail mounting location for a long arm setup. We're going to use the 3rd OEM frame bolt at this location. Push the skid up, feed the bolt through to the PEM, and leave this bolt loosely installed. If this Jeep had a short arm suspension setup, we'd be using this skid plate extension. We would be using another OEM frame bolt that would feed through this slot in the bracket and mounts up right about here. We've got the rear bracket here with the C logo on it. This one's Countersunk. This is a handy dandy PEM flag nut that we will feed through the frame. Follow me. You can leave that resting there for now. You'll then bring the Clayton support bracket up and into position. Feed the provided bolt through and into the frame hole. And then bring the nut tab up onto the bolt threads and start the bolt by hand. All right, so all the bolts are in place. There's no hardware left. So now all we have to do is go around, tighten all the bolts, and then torque them down. Now, this install was exhausting. Not actually. With just a couple bolts, this thing's all ready to go, and it's going to serve as a great addition to the underbelly of our Jeep JL. Thanks for watching.